Being a Stakes fan in recent years has been quite like a representation of the quote, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Or like a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire as the footballing gods do their best Chris Tarrant impression. League One, but we don't want to give you that. It always felt like it wasn't meant to be. From Steve and his mate Dodgy and their trip to China via Peterborough, Dave and his galvanising motivation, to Cochrane, COVID and fears of relegation. All of those experiences now banished into the irrelevant section of our history, thanks to Nigel Clough and the heroes of 2023-2024. It's a season we don't want to end, but also one we're glad that's over, because after 46 games, 24 wins, 14 draws and just 8 defeats, Mansfield Town have made it at last. Today's the day we've been waiting for as a podcast for the last 7 series. The one where we all come together to celebrate. To celebrate promotion at last. How good does that feel to say? And as always, we want you to come and join us as we reflect on a promotion-winning season in a bumper final podcast, well, final-ish, of the series, which includes the end of series quiz. I know Nick's looking forward to that. The end of season award results and the final podcast predictions table. As always, come and have your say on your team in the live feed comments and just join us in those celebrations. Why? Because if you've not learned anything over the last 7 series, you need to learn this. It's because Mansfield always matters. This is the 2023-2024 end of season review show, aka the review show where we finally get promotion. Come on! Hello and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast. It's a show for the fans, by the fans, and I bet if you're watching the video version of this, you're thinking, where on earth is he? Well, I can tell you where he is. He's here! Hello, everyone. How are we? Thanks, Al. I knew you'd give me a round of applause. Now, obviously today we're outside because we are celebrating promotion at last after 7 series, Cam. 7 series, we've finally managed it. We thought we'd come outside and do the podcast in the garden because it's lovely weather. Alan's brought... It is tradition for the end of the season podcast. Alan's brought his mate Gary, haven't you, Alan? Just a reminder, an epic reminder there that you need to speak into the microphone. Alan's brought Gary Gazebo, indeed, and everyone else is out here as well. So just making sure all the microphones and things work. So let's try it by saying hello and good afternoon to Alan Wilson.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Cameron Felton.
Good afternoon.
I mean, I don't know if I can hear you or not, to be fair. I might have to go and turn you up. And let's say hello to Clive Parkin.
Good day, everybody.
Can hear him. Jim Evans.
Hello, everybody.
And Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame.
Hello.
There you go, I heard you. I'll just go and turn you up a little bit. I think you can probably hear. I'll go and turn you up a little bit. Just a little touch. There's a table there. Don't do that. This is unorganised chaos. This is what the end of season podcast is all about. And to be honest, just try speaking. Speaking to your microphone.
You all right, mate?
There you go. Yeah, I think you'll come into it. I don't know. I mean, we'll find out if anyone's watching, if you can hear us or not. Anyway, shall we delve straight into it? Because we are doing lots and lots of things today on the Mansfield Matters Podcast end of season show, which is all about giving out the end of season awards. We'll find out who's won those later on. Plus, we'll find out who has won the Mansfield Matters Podcast predictions table after our gamble options last weekend. And we're also going to find out who is going to be crowned the Knowledge Quest King of the podcast as we do the traditional end of season quiz. Speaking of which, Nick, you've got a very important job. There's some paper in front of you and lots of pens. Would you mind handing out a little bit of paper to all of our podcasters, please?
Of course.
And a pen, because we're going to start at the very end, which is the sudden death question. This is to make sure that nobody can cheat here on the Mansfield Matters podcast today. I'm going to ask you a qualifying question, a nearest to question. All you've got to do is write down what you think the answer is. Then you've got to fold up your bits of paper, put them in your back pocket and sit on them for the remainder of the show. It's as simple as that. Also, if you're watching on YouTube or X today, we won't be able to see your comments because all we've got is the Facebook feed. As always, feel free to come and have your say on your team. Right, okay, here is the question. I'm looking for the nearest two. It's been 21 years since the Stags were last in League One. Based on 21 seasons at 46 games per season, including no added time, how many minutes of football is that? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write down an answer. So I'll remind you of the question in just a second. Let me get me a little timer up. So let's go. We don't want no money. We want 30 seconds on the clock. You can tell how prepared we are for this. I blame Cam because he turned up and all the stuff stopped working.
Don't blame me.
It's been 20. I can hear you this time.
Hey.
It's been 21 years since the Stags were last in League One. Based on 21 seasons at 46 games per season, including no added time. How many minutes of football is that? You've got 30 seconds and your time starts now. So have a little think of that. We need you to write down a number for us. 21 seasons at 46 games a season, including no added time. How many minutes of football is that?
Knowing what your maths is like, how long did it take you to figure this out?
I used a calculator, thank you very much, so they can assure you that this is very accurate. You've got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and your time is up. So there you go, your time is up. I need you to fold those bits of paper up for me, please, gentlemen. I need you to put them in your pockets, and I need you to sit on them so you can't so you can't cheat and think about the answer later on in the show. Right, let's start by looking back at the season as a whole, Alan. Has it sunk in yet that Mansfield Town are now a Sky Bet League One club?
Yes, it has, Craig. It sunk in very straight away as soon as we'd got there, mate. I always knew they could do it. I was very confident this year, so just pleased that they got it over the line, basically.
Cam, we've spent 7 seasons doing this podcast, haven't we? And we've always said every single season since the start, this could be our year. This could be the one where we're all celebrating together at the end of the season. Sadly, no Nathan with us to join in the celebrations. But at the end of the day, here we are, a Sky Bet League One club. Can't believe it's taken 7 years.
It has, but to be fair, 5 of those 7 years we have been genuine contenders. There's only the COVID interrupted and the COVID full season that we weren't pushing playoffs or automatics. Obviously, under Steve Evans and Flitcroft, obviously we missed out on the playoffs on the final day. The following season, missed out on automatics, final day. Then everything sort of like fell off the face of the earth and we nearly buggered everything if it wasn't for COVID. Then we had COVID. And then we've missed out on sort of like just minuscule amounts on the last 2 seasons. And it's so frustrating that it took us this long. But it's... In previous seasons, we've been inconsistent, whereas this season, we've just been absolutely fantastic. It's been brilliant football. The goals that we've scored, the amount of goals that we've scored, but the quality of the goals has been superb, and a season that we'll always remember as being one of the best as a Mansfield Town team has ever produced.
Nick, it's been your first season pretty much on the first full season on the podcast this year. And in terms of watching Stags going back over the years, we were obviously at your shirts event the other week. You've got another one coming up this week. Go and get a ticket if you haven't already. I'm sure they'll squeeze extra bodies in. How much are you looking forward to in years to come, looking back on that Castor kit, which is dreadful, and going, this is not a dreadful kit because it's the one we got promoted in?
I think it's more about the players, isn't it, that you, rather than the actual the shirt, that you look back on some of the shirts that we've had in promotion years before, you think, oh, it's not that great shirt. But actually, when you look back, it's the players. But I think the strange thing for me is thinking back that in years to come, you'll be talking about Aidan Flint and Christy Pym, the same vein we talk about Liam Lawrence and Kevin Pilkington. But obviously, they're here at the minute. My daughter's only 3, so when she's a bit older and she's going to matches, they'll talk about these sort of players now. And Davies Keeler Dunn, and it's sort of just a bit of just drinking it in and sort of living it while they're here, because that team will very quickly disband and we'll move on to other players and things will move on. But certainly got to enjoy it while it's here.
Jim, obviously, again, for you, it's your first season proper on the podcast. You've been a guest a few times, but now you're a fully paid up member of the team. We always see each other before home games, don't we? We always sort of like have that little bit of a chat. Has it sunk in yet that next season, when we go into our seats and the Ian Greaves Upper, Block N, row N and P, we'll be talking about League One football?
Not yet, no. I'll be honest with you. It still feels like we're in League Two. I think when we start seeing the big teams arrive with the big fan bases, and especially going to big away games, I think that's when in reality will set in. You're like, wow, we're here. But it's just, I'm overjoyed, delighted that the club needed this step, and we've finally done it, and now everything can just positively snowball on and off the pitch, and it is already. So.
Clive, where does this rank for you in terms of Mansfield Town's successful seasons? Because I guess a lot of it, we're soaking in the sunshine, we're soaking in the celebrations, we're soaking in the joy of what we've witnessed over the last 9 months or so. Is the proof going to be in the pudding, though? Because last time we got promoted to the division above, we came tumbling straight back down, and it sparked a whole host of negative season on season. Is this the time where Mansfield Town finally level up?
Yeah, I think it's important that we survive next season. If we do very well, it'd be a bonus. I think what we've got to do is consolidate and make League One a comfortable place for Mansfield to practice its game. Going to be interesting times because there's some big clubs descended into it, and let's not forget that the 3 automatic promoted teams this year from our league, us, the champions in Stockport and Wrexham, were really, really good footballing sides. It's been a really tough division this year, and to have got out of it in automatic promotion with 2 games to spare says an awful lot about the club at the moment. I've seen other promotions over the years. Don't remember them too well, but I do know this is very, very exciting.
I think that's a valid point, Cam, because, we look back to 7 seasons ago or whatever, when Steve Evans was manager, and we're thinking this could be the season that we got promoted. I still argue that had he not left for Peterborough via China, we would have got promoted that season. We would have been successful. But my fear all throughout that season was that Mansfield would come tumbling straight back down because he would leave at some point. We'd overspend on players, we'd over budget, and we'd have that financial crash afterwards. This year, because of the job which Nigel Clough's done, I think I don't have the same fear. It's almost the same with Flitcroft. I felt the squad was good enough to go up under David Flitcroft, but I didn't think it was good enough to stay up. This year, it's a completely different feeling.
Yeah, it is, because you've got to think this season.
You've died again. You've died again. Just give him the. There we go. You're on. Yeah.
It mutes itself. I don't know why. It's interference. I know that back. It's like it loses signal. Anyway, speaking of losing signal, we've been missing key players, and key players have dropped in and out at key parts of the season. And you think we lose Callum Johnson, Alfie Kilgore in the same game at Doncaster earlier this season. We lose 2-3 players against Stockport at Christmas, and you're just thinking, what have we got to do to catch a break? Every season that we have had horrible injury problems, and you think last season it cost us, the season before it cost us, and we've done very, very well to think that we still had these injury problems, but we've actually done it this season, and I think that's just shows that. Like Nigel's always said, it's never been a 1-2 season project. It's always been a long-term thing, and we've built and built and built, and we're now at the position where we know that we've got key players out. Yeah, Alfie Kilgore's, who out and out will be playing every game next season as long as he's fit. And you just think, what would have been this season if we'd have got him? If we'd have got a fully fit Callum Johnson all season? If we'd have got a fully fit Stephen McLaughlin all season? There's just a lot of things that ifs and buts. But this season we've done it, and even though we've had these hindrances in injuries, it's not cost us, not to the extent that it has in previous seasons.
Had Reece Oates as well, haven't we, out all season?
Oh,
You forget about Reece
near
Oates.
enough all season. It might not have pitched in with the goals, but he causes problems for defences, and a lot of the teams in our league this season have played with big, burly centre-backs, which Reece Oates loves playing against. He just gets round him, nips round him, and he's gone.
It's an interesting one to look at, Alan, in terms of the building blocks, because every sort of interview that we've all been asked to do, we've all been asked the same question, and that is, what has been the definitive thing that's got Mansfield Town promoted this season? And for me personally, my answer has always been the fact that we stuck with Nigel Clough after we failed to get promoted in the playoff final, after we missed out on the playoffs last season. We've shown our trust in him, and we've invested in a squad over a longer period rather than just rushing and getting a squad for 1 year and sort of throwing money at the problem, a la Wrexham, a la other clubs in the division higher and lower who have had success this campaign.
And I think it just bodes well from what Nigel's done himself, because after the first year, with the injuries, second year with injuries, he's got a better squad, he's got a bigger squad, and so he's allowed for any injuries that we've had, he can bring players in that position. And we haven't always had that in the previous 2 seasons, I don't think. The squad, in my opinion, has been the best we've had this season, and that's one of the reasons why we've done so well, because it can bring players in off the bench. We've had a cracking bench all season, and I just think it can bring the players in to do a job, and it's proved, official that it's happened.
We'll keep your comments coming in. If you're watching on YouTube or X, we won't be able to see your comments. We've only got the Facebook feed up here because we're doing it outside, but we've got a couple on Facebook. This one from Andy, Nick, and as much as I don't want to look too far ahead to next season as yet, we're obviously talking about the players we've got to come back in terms of defensive players. And Andy has said, how about at times next season playing a back three with Cargill and Kilgore either side of Flint? Do you think Mansfield Town will have to change a little bit next season because you go from a rough and ready League Two to a more tactical League One, especially against the sides that are going to be vying promotion that have come down?
I don't think we'll have to change, but it's nice to have the option, isn't it, and have the personnel to change. We've often, for some reason, played 5 at the back when we haven't had the options. Flitclough played it, and we sort of then didn't have a right wing back. That didn't quite work at times, but I think next season, I think we've got the options to play it. Barry can play fullback, Akins can. So we've got Macca if he stays, the 2 Maccas if they stay, Callum Johnson. I think it's just having the option. It's about having enough quality players that if you do change shape, it doesn't have a negative effect on the team. And I think with the squad we've got, we could play a variety of formations. I'd like to see him stick with the one we've got, with a sort of diamond in midfield to try and keep the ball a bit more. But I don't think anyone could complain if we're going away at Birmingham or whoever with sort of 3 centre-backs. I don't think we could complain, especially with how good the centre-backs would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question for Alan from Sarah. Has Alan done the I will follow him jingle that I requested at the Mansfield Town Shirts Night? I'm probably going to say no, because Alan charges a lot of money for these jingles. Is that right, Al?
No, I just haven't had time yet, but I will get round to it. That's a promise.
Yeah, watch us next season.
He said it was a budget issue. So
Yeah, budget issue. I'm going to go budget. Yeah.
It was about money anyway. He was with his fingers like that.
Yeah, come on.
Alan's been very busy.
Is that supposed to be a pun?
Yes.
That was terrible.
He spent all the money on cake.
No cake.
No
Categorically
cake.
No cake.
In the bin.
Jim, let's look at important figures for us this season. Obviously, Davies Keeler-Dunn chips in with the numerous goals and numerous assists. I think the key one, though, is obviously Aidan Flint. But aside from those two, who would you say has been the most pivotal player for Mansfield Town this promotion season?
Apart from those two, I'd say...
Nice and close to the lips, please.
Apart from those two, I'd go, I think, Christy Pym and Akins have had big seasons, personally. I think Pym's not like spectacular or doesn't catch the eye as a goal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gate is open.
It only took all season.
It's taken all season. The gate is actually open. That's a reference to the garden gate here at Mansfield Matters HQ, and not the actual gate. Sorry, Jim, carry on. I just thought it was a funny moment.
For me, Christy Pym and Lucas Akins, I think, stand out for me. Just very consistent, big seasons, not many mistakes, particularly Christy Pym. And I think people scoffed at how much he was getting allegedly paid when he came in, Christy Pym. I think he showed he was worth it. You need a good goalkeeper if you want every good side has a good goalkeeper, don't they?
I think he's certainly earned his weight in gold, hasn't he, Clive, this year, that Christy Pym, especially sort of early doors. In fact, I think back actually to probably the Accrington game where he made 2 or 3 really good, solid saves at times we needed him, when in the previous, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, we were conceding those types of goals. He's been there to be called upon early doors, and it's that sort of thing which gets you momentum, isn't it? As much as people talk about the impact of defending well, like Jim said there, having a grade A goalkeeper is as important, if not more important.
Yeah, I think it comes home when you realise that one of the benefits of having a really good defence is we don't allow the opponent to make too many attempts at goal. And so when they do manage to break through, you need a goalkeeper that's alert to it, even though he's not had much to do all game. And I think Pym's proved to me that he's that sort of goalkeeper. But when we're talking about pivotal players, I think a word in favour of a certain Mr. Bowery this year. He has been magnificent in his adaptability, his willingness, and generally speaking, the quality of his play.
And I think that's a good point to touch upon there, Nick, actually, Jordan Barry, because obviously we've not had the retained list yet, which means you lucky people at home get one more Mansfield Matters podcast, which means, Cam, we get to finish on an even number and not 39 episodes. We get to finish on 40.
Oh, thank you.
I know. I don't like it when we finish on an odd number.
It's so satisfying.
It's OCD, isn't it?
Well, it's the
OCD
fact that
overdrive.
Have we done an emergency podcast this season?
No, we've not needed to, have we? We nearly did. We
I'm
nearly.
French, but thank
We
that.
nearly did, didn't we? After the recording. In fact, are you two all right sitting next to each other? Like, do we need to split you two up now? Or are we all kissed and made up?
We got promoted now. I'm not bothered.
So-
Can be as useless as they like. I'm not bothered. Right?
Funny. Yes, it's certainly been one. I think Jordan Barry's an apt one to talk about. We have heard that both he and Scott Flinders, Nick, have signed a 1-year contract extension. No full retain list as yet, because obviously currently right now they're throwing away their wages on red or black. But pleasing news all the same. It might not play as much next season, but knowing we've got that adaptability in there, that's a nice little thing to have.
Well, he's perfect because if you could have injuries in 4 different positions and he can fill every single one. Well, he can play more than that, can't he? Ironically, he was better at centre back in the last few games than he was at full back. He turned into Beckenbauer, didn't he? As the photos go on X, I think it was of him superimposed onto Beckenbauer's head.
I personally like the ones where it's imposed onto Christy Pym's head, but we're not talking about
no,
those.
don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Clough wasn't a fan of that, was he?
No, I heard.
Barry, he's the sort of player you need because you guarantee we'll get random injuries at the last minute. You won't be able to bring somebody in, and Barry will just jump in there and play. Do I see him starting as many games as he has this season? Maybe not, but I don't think he'll bother, and I don't think the club will bother because wherever he needs to fill in, he will play. And he'll probably play just as good as the person he's replacing.
Do you know what, though, Alan? That actually completely typifies Nigel Clough's management, doesn't it? Because a player like Jordan Barry under Graham Coughlin, even though it was at the start of his Mansfield career, wasn't really hitting the ground running. We were thinking, what on earth have we got here? He's not really cut it as a striker for us, but his attitude, his commitment to playing for the badge, his love for the club. Yeah, but it still weren't great. I know. It's one of those things, isn't it, where Nigel Clough has had such an impact on him. It's probably made him a stronger player. It's
possibly his man management skills as well. Nigel coming to the fore with people like Barry. But I think also, I know Clive's mentioned Barry, and you mentioned one or two others, Pym. I think Bailey Cargill should get a mention because he's been immense when he's played. I know he got injured, same as Brunt did, towards the end of the season. But when he's played, he's put a right shift in. And I shall look forward to see a fully fit Bailey Cargill next year, to be fair.
He's played a few positions as well, hasn't he? He played left back, centre back.
Yeah.
I think he dropped in midfield as a late sort of sub one game. Yeah, I think he played a bigger role than a lot of us anticipated when they signed Flynn.
Yeah,
with
I'd
Kilgore
agree with
not
that.
injured at the time, I don't think people thought he was going to play quite a big role as he did actually, Cargill.
No, I think he's a very good player.
I think that's another fair point to pick up on as well, Clive. The whole players not necessarily playing in one position, sort of playing where they need to play. Bailey Cargill, prime example. We go to Crewe on the opening day of the season. Callum MacDonald has a good start and then gets sent off. Bailey Cargill ends up having to fill in at left back. We don't have any other options at that point because McLaughlin is still on the treatment table, and he does a superb job. And even though we then get rocked a couple of games later with the injury to Alfie Kilgore, it just seemed to work. And again, having that adaptability and that strength within your squad and filling it with promotion-winning players, it just gives you that extra bit of confidence to be able to adapt to anything which the footballing gods throw.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The squad is so flexible, and that's proved to be a winning formation. That you've got players that can be judged as being strikers but play in fullback positions, and players that are best served down the middle can play on the flanks. We've had a team that can play just about any circumstance well, and I think that what supports that is they're all good players. They're all playing for each other. They've got a lot of respect for each other, with no prima donnas in the side. Previous seasons, we've had people that see themselves as more important and bigger than the rest of the squad. We've not had that this year. I think we've benefited from that.
What's your take on that, Jim? I think Clive raises a fair point there when we talk about no egos. We didn't really bring too many players in the summer. We got things right, and in terms of building the squad, it's certainly been over the last 2-3 transfer windows. And I think to not have too many egos in there, I think actually says a lot about how Nigel Clough manages that dressing room.
I think it's massive. I mean, you sort of listen to former promotion squads from other teams. Even they'll tell you, they'll say one of the reasons we got promoted was the dressing room and the togetherness and the spirit. And I think it's something we need to be careful of with the recruitment. Some of the names being bandied around, that we don't bring in some Billy Big Bollocks who's going to come in and do that. I think that, we need to be careful.
Yeah.
Who walks in the door, even if it's not as good a player as we could possibly get. This dressing room cohesion is probably more important, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he manages that. Look forward to talking about that in more depth next season when we go into that. Let's delve through a bit of the season then. Nick, let's start off by, we mentioned that game there with Crewe Alexandra, the 2-2 draw at their place. And then we got on a bit of a good run. But what we do tend to struggle for when you look back historically through the results there, it's draw after draw after draw. And I think as we went into sort of September time, we were thinking, when are we actually going to properly win a game? Because we couldn't seem to get out of that block. But like we sort of said at the time, as frustrating it is to draw, we weren't losing games.
I think that was the big thing. I think we were going to games. I think at one point, I think even I said it maybe on here, that we were drawing too many games. But key point is seasons gone by, like the Crewe game that I went to, the first game of the season, we played absolutely fantastically well. At the point that's sending off, 9 times out of 10 we lose that game. Without a shadow of a doubt, we lose it 3-2 very, very easily. But we didn't. We held on and we defended balls in the box. You talk about Donny again, where you go behind and then you away at Grimsby. How many times have we lost away at Grimsby? We managed to get that was their mistake, but we managed to get a goal and draw there. And then I think the Carabao Cup sort of started to pick up a bit of our confidence as well. We realised we could beat better teams. The Stockport game at home as well. They were all over us until half time. We came out a different team and somehow beat them 3-2. But yeah, the main thing was we weren't losing, and I think the longer that lack of losing went on, the better we got, and the more sort of determined we were that no, we're not going to lose. Doesn't matter how badly or iffy we play, we're not going to lose. And I think that's picked up a lot of points where last season, say for example, or even the season before, we wouldn't have got.
And those points add up, don't they?
Oh, massively, yeah. Those random points in September that you pick up that you forget about when you look at the table on the last game of the season, they, like you say, they all add up, don't they? We needed them as well at that point in the season.
You do that half a dozen times over the season. It's 2 wins, isn't it? 6 points. So.
And we have scrambled some points when you look at the results, haven't you? The last minute goals and performances where you think we would definitely have not, we'd have caved in. Even the Notts County game where we absolutely battered them, we went behind. In some seasons that would have been us done. The season when we were with Flitcroft and Michael Smith scored for County, that's it for the rest of the game. We did nothing. Whereas this time we scored one and everyone went, all right, well, when are we going to get another goal? And I think we've scored at important times as well. A lot of the games you've seen, we've scored just before half time to equalise. And it's been really important that we don't go in behind, like the Salford game where they equalised. We scored again, didn't we?
Try and get nice and close to the lips, mate.
And then we went on to turn it right. MK Don's the same, scoring just before half time. So it's not just, he's scoring at vital times as well, isn't it?
I think this is a Clough trait, isn't it? His teams are very resilient. Very, you never feel out of a game unless it's like 4 or 5-0, obviously. But like you say, we don't fold up now.
No, we've been in games, haven't we? We've not until Crawley. It wasn't a game where we'd conceded more than 2, was there? There was no game where I ever sat there feeling we're out of this until Crawley turned up. But apart from that, we've been solid, haven't we, all the way through.
But to sit here and say we've only had one bad game this season that's just gone is just incredible. Al, let's go back to that because we touched upon moments ago there that cup run. Nick mentioned how pivotal having a good cup run at the start was. We've seen it historically. A good FA Cup run can really give you momentum into the second half of the season. But what Nigel Clough wanted to do, and he said it in his post-match interview at the end of last season after Colchester, I want the season to start now because we want to carry on. We want to keep that momentum going. And that's exactly what he did. If you look at the unbeaten run we went on, 17 games, we were one of the longest in the entire EFL to not lose a game. Only Port Vale ended it by virtue of that 1-0 victory in the Carabao Cup. That sort of run, going back to the Sheffield Wednesday game, all right, we drew it, but we win on penalties. And I don't know, just something as a squad when you win a penalty shootout, just as early doors and you get through, you're beating a championship team, just gives you a little bit of a lift and momentum. And the longer that run went on, I know we were talking on the podcast quite often, or I was as well, and saying, I fear what happens when we finally lose a game. You were the complete opposite. You were like, the longer it goes on, the better.
Yeah. And I think we were proved right, both of us, to a certain degree. We did go, same as you said, was it 17 games? When you're going against Sheffield Wednesday, and Oatsy comes out with that worldie, cracking goal, and you just don't feel as though you're going to lose. Although when we got to the penalties, you think, oh dear, man, so time penalties. But that seemed to change this year. It's same as everything else, like Simon Wilson said when I gave him the the winning quote. It's the new Mansfield way. If you make it, sound like that. And when we played Peterborough
was exactly the same,
yeah,
wasn't it? We
was,
were awful, but somehow we got
that's
back in the
it.
game and then
Yeah.
mind games on penalties, wasn't
And
it?
you just seemed to know that we were going to win. And it's just everything that Clough has done has turned to gold this season. And I think a lot of credit goes to Nigel for what he has done, with the team. I know the players have done their bit and the fans and everybody else, John, Carolyn, but I think Nigel has bolstered everybody together with the size and the quality of his squad.
I think, Cam, a big part of the cup run as well, I think we mentioned it sort of there briefly, is the Peterborough game. As much as Sheffield Wednesday was great, winning on penalties, even though they were down at the other end, there was a fair following from Mansfield that night. But the Peterborough game, the whole Christy Pym situation obviously added to the drama, the penalty shootout, saving a couple, giving it big to their fans and all of that. It seemed to unite us as a team. And I remember vividly the celebrations after that game. It almost felt like we'd been promoted that night because there was such a belief in the squad that anyone can come here, they can play however they want, they can play us off the park, but we won't give up, we won't give in. And that attitude is such a leveller.
It is, and you look at what those teams have achieved this season. Sheffield Wednesday, all right, they left it late, but they managed to survive in the Championship, and Peterborough are currently in the League One playoffs. So they weren't nobodies that we've beat. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday won the playoffs the season before, beating Peterborough, that miraculous game. But it just shows that we can beat whoever comes in front of us. And Port Vale, that was just a weird game because there was a few decisions that were just bizarre, and I think that ruined it for us. Wrexham, the pressure was always going to be there for the cup game just because it was on the telly, and Hollywood is Hollywood. But whenever we have then faced bigger games, it was always the Mansfield way to just kind of shrivel up and shy away from the big games. You look at MK Dons from all those years ago. You look at Wembley. And I'd say this is the first season where we've actually gone out and put performances in on big games. I think there's only probably Wrexham towards the end of the season on Easter weekend that we've really not turned up for a big game. Notts County, right? We conceded after 3 minutes. We went and beat them 4-1. 3-1, sorry. Was it 3 or 4?
4. Come on.
Jeez. We've scored 90 plus goals this season. I'm trying to remember every single bloody one.
Yeah, that is one of the questions.
MK Dons. All right, MK Dons poor at home, but we wronged the rights of many a season ago, just going out and absolutely battering them. And that was very much the moment I think that we all sort of like believed that this was it, because it put us on the cusp. It made it the non-Mansfield town way, which was absolutely lovely. And last weekend was absolutely bliss just to sit at home with Sky on and just be like, this is nice, this, isn't it? Final day. Don't have to worry about anything. No playoffs, no final day madness. It's just been absolutely bliss this season.
It has. And I think, we talk about highs and we talk about, the way in which the season has played out. The Notts County game, Clive, let's go to that. We keep mentioning it. We go behind early doors. Obviously, their first season back in the Football League after so long, they would have wanted to end our unbeaten run at the time as well. I remember sort of being sat there. I think it was me, you and Alan who were sat together and we were going, here we go. But there was something about it, wasn't it? As soon as we got that goal back in that game, we knew we weren't losing it. In fact, we knew we were going to trounce them.
Yeah, and what was more important still was in that game, we scored from corners and free kicks, which has not been the Mansfield way prior to that time. But the Cargill goal was the turning point. And I thought Notts looked a very despondent side in the second half. They were playing the ball back to their keeper with no idea how to penetrate the Mansfield position at all. And afterwards, their manager was crestfallen because they were top of the league at that point.
Yeah, I think we found them out because we were the first team to beat them, or one of the first. And then if you look, they played a few teams who did exactly what Mansfield did, and they just didn't know what to do. They just couldn't work out how to play against us, which is the first time ever on Sky I've ever seen. It's normally the other way around, isn't it? We look like we ain't got a clue how to play.
But they didn't have a plan B, did they? That was the point.
No, not at all. Whereas we have in a few games, we've changed shape, and I think Nigel's realised he's not got it wrong, but all the games developed differently and he's moved players about. But County had no clue what to do.
But, we beat County 4-1. Cam 4 it was.
4.
Yeah.
Jeez.
4.
We
4.
beat- I mean, we've had
4.
enough-
Was it
Have a little
4-1?
count on your fingers. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 4-1.
4
Can we
Cam.
turn this camera off for 2
So
seconds?
the thing is, we've beat teams this season by 4 and 5 goals without breaking sweat. I don't think we've had many games where you'd look back and say, "Well, that was awful." But even when we lost against
Crawley.
Crawley beat us. I mean,
Yeah,
they
we were
beat us
well
fair and
beaten that
square.
game, weren't we?
We might not have been on our A game, but that's not the point. They came with a good plan and they implemented it.
I think one of the most frustrating ones for me this season was probably Crewe at home.
I was going to say Crewe at home early doors because we should have won that
I thought
game.
they were a good sized crew. Actually.
But
They
more
came and did a job on us.
Yeah, they were a good. Team.
I mean, Jim and I will remember being down at Swindon when we should have won that game. And it was down to Clough at the end of the day. We did something stupid and we allowed them to score in the 90-something minute. And so at the very least, we should have had a draw there. And we came away with an out.
Sorry, I was just getting Alan to switch sides because he'd cut his head off the camera there. But there you go. He's moved. I mean, face for radio and all that, but I don't think you have, Mr. Wilson.
Rich.
Let's talk Stephen Quinn, shall we? Because I think, as much as we were talking about how good Christy Pym, Aidan Flynn, take your pick of players, Stephen Quinn, Alan, should have potentially hung up his boots a couple of seasons ago, and yet he still runs around like a 12-year-old in a sweet shop, doesn't he? Really, 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 really hyper. And he, again, might not have had the impact that he had the last couple of seasons, but when he's been there and been available, it makes us tick.
Is the official Mansfield Town Duracell bunny, isn't it? It's just his mint when he comes on. Whether he starts, his passion, his pride, his commitment in wearing that shirt, it means an awful lot to him. And also when Macca came in for the last couple of 3 games, it looked, sometimes, a couple of times in the games that they were starting to forge that partnership again, down the left, and that was pleasing to see. And things like that might just click in his mental brain to say that let's have another season. If Macca stays, because that might be another good
Could
thing.
be a factor, yeah.
If Macca does stay, Quinn might think, let's have another season. Let's see what we can't do.
Well,
he's been very good.
Speaking of Stephen Quinn, a few weeks ago on the podcast, you may remember that I found an old Mansfield Matters mug to give away the final one. People had to tweet us in or send us a message with just the word Quinn, and I've randomly picked a winner. It's at Stoey27 on X. So if you're listening, do go and drop us a DM, and we will get you sent your Stephen Quinn mug. Nick, again, he is such an imposing figure, though, isn't he? How much of importance have those players that have followed Nigel Clough been this season as well, having leaders all across the pitch? Some teams do well with just one captain, but you need leaders all across the pitch. Your Ollie Clarks, your Stephen Quinns, your Lucas Akins. That's as an important factor as anything else this season.
Yeah, I think it's a one-tier dressing room, isn't it? Everyone's on an even keel. I think they spoke to Flinty about what it meant to be captain, and he said it wasn't. The armband means nothing, basically. It's that everyone's a captain on the pitch if they need to be. But it's like the guys who come off the bench this year, I think, have been a big difference for me. A few seasons back, we used to always say on here, the other opposition make subs and we get worse. We make subs and we get even worse. Whereas this season, we've made subs in games. The Gillingham game is a case in point. But we've brought players on who you think, they might not have that big impact. But you looked at Gale when he's come on and scored. Nichols has come on in games and contributed, and to have players like Maris to come back for the last few games of the season to just play his absolute heart out when he just lost his mum, and then you've got Ollie Clark who's in and then he's out and he's in, but he plays just as good. It doesn't matter. He comes on the pitch and he's booked after 10 seconds because he's inadvertently thrown himself at someone. It just seemed like it didn't matter whether you started 10 games, 40 games, or 1 game. Everyone came on with the same attitude. I'm here to do a job. I mean, George Cooper played against Burton. He only played 1 game. I think he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Flinders played that game and played well. Everyone who's played, whether they played 5 minutes or in my case 550,000 minutes if they played for the last 7 years, they've
shame it's 21 years on the question, isn't it? Yeah,
even worse then.
Yeah, you're way off on that number, I can tell you that.
Yeah, they just come on with the right attitude, and I think it starts at Clough, doesn't it? I don't think he accepts anything less, and it's took him 3 years to weed out your Danny Johnsons of the world and a few others to get to the squad that he actually wants. And the last 2 transfer windows have summed that up, I think.
We mentioned that a little bit earlier, Jim, the last two or three transfer windows. Undoubtedly, when you look back over this, you look back in the history books, you will see the season 23-24 as the season that Mansfield got promoted. But really, the foundations, the building blocks to it have been ever since that Wembley season. You know, we had a really good run towards the back end of the campaign, got to the playoff final, but in truth, we weren't quite good enough, and nor were we ready. The following season, we had the hangover from it. I will still maintain until I'm blue in the face that if we'd have changed formation earlier that season, we may have got the playoffs and may have even got promoted. But again, I don't think we were ready. We had to get the right players in, and sometimes that takes a lot of time. You look at the impacting players on this campaign, and you think, well, they weren't necessarily brought in the summer. All right, Aidan Flint is a little bit of an anomaly because he was a free agent and we managed to pick him up by virtue of chance. Lewis Brunt, again, similar. If Alpha Kilgore doesn't get injured, Lewis Brunt doesn't come in. But other than that, your Lewis Reed, that was a January signing. Davies Keeler-Dunn, January signing. Christy Pym, 2 seasons. You know, we've built this squad and we've built this momentum, not over 2023, 2024, but over the last 3 years. And I think that's a really key factor, which we need to remember as we celebrate this promotion.
Yeah, when he came in, he said it would take 3 years, didn't he? And it basically has, hasn't it? And he alluded to it himself, didn't he? I think it was the January window last year, the business we did. That was the Kilgore, DKD, Reed and Callum Johnson. That was a quality window, that was. And it just wasn't our time at Wembley. And looking back, I think you see Port Vale coming down. I think you wouldn't swap. It's almost like it's good that we lost at Wembley now, because I think we're better placed now to go up and stay up, and now's our time. And
our squad's 10 times better now, isn't it, than what it was at Wembley?
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt.
If we'd have won that game and gone up, you could see us just coming straight back down. And it just feels like our time, doesn't it? And it's from 3 or 4 years' work.
Yeah, let's hope that we can sustain that, because we've obviously got a lot of work to do to stabilise and stay in League One. But we're not talking about League One yet. We're reflecting on the promotion-winning campaign from League Two. So I'm going to ask all of you the same question, and that is, what's the one takeaway memory you'll have from this season? Why does this promotion mean so much? Alan, I'll start with you, and we'll go around in a circular fashion.
Actually getting over the line. You know, for the last 3 years, we've been so close. I didn't manage to get to Wembley through circumstances beyond my control. So I missed the Wembley debacle, if you like. But just actually getting over the line and enjoy it, like 2 matches before the end of the season, and the enjoyment of it, and seeing the fans, you know, everybody, the euphoria, and, you know, being pleased for John and Carolyn for exactly what they've put in, bringing Nigel in the first place. It's just been a pleasant season. Simple as.
Very much the same as Alan, just finally done it. And the way that we've done it, the attractive football, the goals that we've scored, it's unlike anything I've ever seen in Mansfield.
Would you say it's attractive, though? Because I'm not trying to put a negative on it, but at times, you know, we've ground results out. It's been 2-1, 1-0. We've not had the edge of the seat stuff that we had in the playoff season.
That, in part because the league's a lot stronger this season than it was that season. I think you've got... That's a massive B. Sorry, that's distracting. You've got so many more teams. Not saying that the teams that season were weaker, but just the fact that the financial firepower that the teams have got this season in compared to that season, the teams that were up there were your Exeters and Northamptons, who they've got a bit, but nothing like what Wrexham and Stockport are able to offer, nothing like MK Dons or Notts County can offer. And it's just one of those things where you just look back and you just think, like, well, we were able to better, if not match, all of those teams other than maybe 2 occasions. We were able to mix it with the top teams. And like Nigel said in the past, though, to do it this season alongside the teams that are there, and just the fact that League Two is by far the strongest it's been for a very long time. But you look at the next season, and it's probably the weakest League Two team thing it's ever been. And it's going to be fun next season because we've got to try and solidify and, where's the bell?
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.
There you go.
But we're building from a solid base and there's no toxicity
God's
in the
sake.
camp. Ding, ding, ding. So
I think every time instead of ringing a bell, I think every time we say one of those words for the rest of this podcast, someone should punch Cam in the face. Galvanise.
No, Mr. Wilson, I don't think that's very nice. Do you?
They get nasty.
Take him off.
Yeah, they are
Craig, take him
nasty.
off.
Well, someone did ask in the comments earlier when we were releasing the Mansfield Matters podcast predictions retain list. So at the end of the show,
I'm gone.
at the end of the show, we'll let him go on a free.
None of the fact that you haven't spoken to me yet is a good thing.
let's go back
I
to
bought the mic.
well, and then you caused the camera to crash. Let's go back to what we were talking about, Clive. Get us back on track, please.
Well, first of all, that bee was as big as a Volkswagen.
It's gone. The beer's gone.
It was
The
a
beer's
beetle,
buzzed off.
wasn't it?
The beer's buzzed off. Thank you.
Anyway, I disagree with you, Craig, because I think we've played sparkling football this year. We've had to grind 1 or 2 out, but that's because, as Cam says, it's a quality league this year. But we've beat teams with aplomb this year. I mean, if you ignore the 9-2, because that was a real weirdo, we've beat teams in the past we've been frightened of. We've beaten 4 and 5-1 on their ground. We've dispatched all of the bogey teams this year, all of them. And I think what we are in a better position than Carlisle, Forest Green Rovers and Port Vale going forward is I think we're in a better position to move forward. They demonstrate what can happen if you don't reinvest after being promoted.
Jim?
Just the resilience for me, that was touched on before, not losing games that we would have lost. Bit business-like. They've looked like winners rather than bottle jobs this season. And I know this season he had to get promoted in the club, otherwise he probably would have been gone. But sort of next season, although you got to not be naive about it, you got to keep that solid base. I'd like to see him unshackled a little bit, play a bit more of his natural game. So I think that's more his natural inclination, to be a bit more. Because I mean, the football 2 years ago was for me a better over a season. I'd like to see, without being naive, just let him be, do his natural thing a bit more next season. Personally.
I think some of the style of play, which I get the comment slightly. I think we've been in that control of games at times. It makes us look a little bit slow.
Yeah.
But we're that comfortable in terms of, well, you press us and we'll just pass it around you. So people behind me are going, oh, we're passing it across the back again. Well, we don't need to go forward. We don't need to. We'll keep it because we're not worried about losing it. And I think the playoff season, we were that panicked about losing it. We used to get the ball and just get rid of it, and we'd be down the line and it gone and the cross was in. You go, blimey, that was quick. But I don't think we were actually in control of ourselves at times. It was a bit random. Whereas now, we go behind and we're not bothered. Gillingham, we're still passing it around the bot. Bloke behind us was shouting, do we know we're losing? It's like, well, we do. We're just keeping the ball for a bit. And we'll score when we want.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of the season, we've got the best owners we've ever had. We've got the best manager, arguably, potentially. And, I was only born in 91, so I can't speak for anyone before that. 92, sorry. Got me the year wrong. But we've got the best manager. We've got some of the best players we've ever seen. Keeler, Dunn, Flint. Pim's got to be up there for goalkeepers. We've got the biggest crowd we've ever had for a long, long time. And we're getting the Bishop Street done. I think that all coming together seems right, doesn't it? And it's took us so long and there's been so many nearly moments, but for some reason everything's coming in to sort of pass at the same time. I think that's the most exciting thing, is that I think if you were to place Mansfield in the table next season, I don't think any of us would think we'd struggle. Which if you'd have said that, if we'd have got promoted any other season, I think you'd have been going, well, we'll just stay up. But I don't think us, Stockport or Wrexham will be thinking, let's just stay up, which makes it a little bit more frightening because 4 teams have got to go down, haven't they? It's not just 2, it's 4. But yeah, we've got no reason to fear the league above from what I've seen this season.
I think it is an accumulation of all that. I mean, as much as I say the comment boring football, it's only boring to some. To me, I think I don't mind it. It's because it's like what Nick said there. We are actually keeping the ball. We're being possessive with it. We're being controlled. We're being calm. And I think that is the huge difference this season, that in times where we've been up against it, we've been calm on the ball. We've been calm in sticky spells. When we've gone a goal behind, other than maybe 1 or 2 games, we've not looked like we wouldn't get back into the game. We've not looked like we gave up any fight whatsoever. And to be calm and measured and to play the way we have to get into the top 3 is great. There is a little bit of a disappointment, I'm not going to lie, that we didn't get second spot, because I think we all agree that if you look at us and Wrexham on paper, yes, they've got more points than us, but actually, given the football we've played and the unbeaten run we went on at the start and all of that sort of thing, and the fact that we finished the season basically with 2 strikers in the back 4, we were the better side than Wrexham. The documentary will obviously shine great light on them, and it'll be we should have probably won the league and all of this. But actually, we were the most consistent side other than Stockport. We were one of the strongest in every single media person or media report or whatever that I've seen, interview or whatever, has said that Mansfield are one of the best in that division. So there's a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow there, the fact that we didn't finish second. But ultimately, like we said at the start of the season, anywhere in that top 3 would have done. Just like when we start the podcast next season, anywhere outside of the bottom, we can finish 5th from bottom, that'd do.
Yeah, it would. The other frustrating thing for me is that Wrexham have done it in the most Wrexham way possible this season. They just scam last-minute goals constantly. How many times this season have they scored a last-minute equaliser or a last-minute winner? They have ridden so much luck constantly. They're probably quite lucky that they beat us in the FA Cup, because let's be totally honest, that game should have never started.
Well, that killed our pitch, didn't it, for a start?
Yeah, it did. You can't be playing on that. And we were the only team to double Stockport, who are, other than us, you probably Stockport are miles better seen than Wrexham. Wrexham play one style of football, and everybody can see it a mile off. But just the playing ability that they've got, just teams in the division couldn't touch it. We should have battered them when we played them earlier this season, and then we get some dodgy refereeing decisions in the one on Sky. Shock. And it's threatened to derail our season, that loss. Let's be totally honest. That and the MK Dons lost really could have messed things up for us.
There was certainly a fear, Alan, after the Wrexham game that we would sort of come tumbling down, because we were so close to doing it. If we'd have won that game, we might have even had another eye on the title again. But again, it just shows, doesn't it, that football brings highs and lows, and unfortunately, when you're right up there and you're right close to the line, that's when the lowest points start to hit.
Yeah, but I disagree slightly with Cam when he was saying, Wrexham had last-minute goals or last-minute whatever. They've got there, haven't they? That's how they've done it, whether they've got it in the first minute or the 90th minute, whatever. Fair play to them. But I think Mansfield have just been head and shoulders this year, and I think that could be one of the reasons why Nigel Clough got the manager of the season, not any of the other two.
Let's not forget they lost their best striker and goalkeeper early on in the season, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
So if that had happened towards Clough, would have been all over that, wouldn't he? We'd have never heard the end of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think we've just got to look forward. I just see it as we're both on 0 points in League One now.
Yeah.
It's second or third.
Yeah.
Who's bothered?
Yeah, that's we got up, and that's the most important thing. Right, that's all we've got time for in terms of talking about the season as a whole. We'll probably dip into it in the next 10 minutes or so, because it's time now to delve into the fun bit. We're going to do the quiz. We're going to do the Mansfield Matters. Yes, they are.
I said fun was banned.
Yes. We're going to delve into the Mansfield Matters End of Season Awards, and we're going to reveal who has won podcast predictions as well. First, it seems quite apt to do the Mansfield Matters End of Seasons Awards as voted by you, the listeners, on our recommendations in terms of certain categories. Let's start with Player of the Season. Nick, I'm not going to ask you any of these questions because you can basically see the answers on my screen. You won't see the quiz answers because I'll turn away, and I'll get you to maybe go and sit over there on the wall or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But Player of the Season, all players were available for this one. So I want one name, just one name, surname will do only for who you think has won, and then I shall reveal the answers. So let's start with Alan. Who do you think has won Mansfield Matters Listeners Player of the Season?
DKD.
Cam.
Yeah, it's got to be DKD.
Clive. Where's the microphone? Just put it down. It's going off here. You still need these.
You've got one job.
Yeah, you still need these.
Flint.
Jim?
Aidan Flint.
Nick? Flint.
Yeah.
I can tell you that with a whopping, where's my mouse gone? Oh, it disappears. 38 votes, that's 36.5% of the vote. Davis Keeler-Dunn has won the Mansfield Matters Listeners Player of the Season. In second place, Aidan Flint. And in third place was Stephen Quinn. Let's delve into Goal of the Season. Then a reminder that we picked a nomination. The nominations were Aaron Lewis against Accrington, which was Clive's pick. Davis Keeler-Dunn against Notts County. That was Nick's pick. Will Swan against Harrogate was Alan's pick. James Gale against MK Dons was Cam's pick. And Hiram Boateng against Harrogate, his hat-trick goal was my pick. And I can tell you that in second place was Davis Keeler Dunn against Notts County with 10.6% of the vote.
Third place.
In third, that was third place. Yeah, in great maths. In second place,
One job.
was James Gale versus MK Dons with 16.3% of the vote. And in first place, unsurprisingly, Clive, it had to be your pick, didn't it? Give me the microphone, let him talk, man. Come on, you've got one job, Jim. One job.
Honestly,
Jim, if you
we're
don't want to come
professionals,
out
aren't
and
we?
Yeah.
play with us, then just say so.
You know this retain list for the end of the season? It's written, mate, I'm only joking. he's eager, isn't he? He's eager.
Can I just say that it surprises me not one bit that my selection was the winner.
No, it was the best.
Yeah. Wonder why. Yeah, first pick.
Yeah, that's also true. Unsung Hero / Special Recognition Award. Well, the nominations were Mez and the ground teams for fighting against the odds, which was my pick. Cam went for Andy Garner being a fucking legend. That was his pick.
Yeah, not
Nigel Clough for delivering promotion was Alan's pick. Jordan Barry for being a key cog in the machine was Nick's pick. And Zeke the cameraman was Clive's pick. Well, let's have a look at this then, shall we? In third place, with 19.2% of the vote, it's Andy Garner for being a legend.
Yes.
In
Well done.
second place, for delivering promotion, it's Alan's nomination of Nigel Clough. And the winner of Unsung Hero Special Recognition is Jordan Barry for defying the odds and being a key cog in the machine.
Jordan did register 15 different Google accounts and vote for him himself. I did Andy Garner, but he just couldn't quite work it as fast.
JB1 at googlemail.com. JB2. Moment of the season then. Again, this one was all variety of things. The nominations were the 9-2 victory over Harrogate, the complete disbelief that it actually happened, a security guard denying legend Sandy Pate from entering the Sandy Pate bar. This is right off his
Only Mansfield.
Only Mansfield. Pim's penalty heroics and general shithousery versus Peterborough. No cake.
No cake.
Cam's atrocious attempts at the Food Hub Challenge.
Hey, weren't that bad.
And Stephen Quinn for being Stephen Quinn. In third place, with 16.3% of the vote, it's Pim's penalty heroics. In second place, it's the 9-2 against Harrogate. And the winner of the moment of the season is Cam's atrocious. No, it's not. It was Stephen Quinn.
Better not be.
Stephen Quinn being Stephen Quinn. And I think if that hadn't have been in there, your atrocious Food Hub Challenge would have won it, because that was just the ridiculous moment of the season.
Can I just put this out? You know, if...
I can't quite reach.
Yeah, you can't reach. If we'd got Bishop Street stand all sorted and just pulled his finger out and done it, that had never happened. So, come on.
I think it still would have cleared any sort of
Yeah,
commercial two-tiered stadium in the land.
absolutely. I mean, rumour has
It went over the gym.
Rumour has it, it's still there, isn't it? Still flying. Game of the season, penultimate award. Notts County away for being a brilliant away day after so long. What was Alan's vote? Then it was Salford at home. Style of play to bounce back from Warsaw was Nick's vote. Harrogate away for beating a bogey side with Clyde's vote. Sutton away, another bogey team beaten before Christmas was Cam's vote. And then Forest Green at home, the vital clean sheet after back-to-back losses to set us up for the MK Dons game was my vote. In third place with 6.7% of the vote was the Forest Green game. In second place, it was Harrogate away beating a bogey team. And then romping home with 78.8% of the vote, it's Notts County away for being...
Can I just say there that
Shock.
Cam's selection is the only thing so far that's got 0 votes.
Yes.
Got nothing there, mate.
Yeah.
Oh,
0.
No votes on Sutton
No,
away.
yeah, I did not vote, so I didn't vote on any of this, so that's my own
I
fault.
should hope none of us voted on any of this because of this award, which we're about to give away now. And I have to say,
You
that
definitely did.
It's a
didn't you?
joke. I can tell you that's what that award is. That's a joke. That's what it is.
Did you vote for your own?
oh God,
Really?
yeah.
I thought you would have. Of course you can.
My mum voted 7 times.
Well, as you can probably gather, the final vote of the season is one which we'll have a laugh at. It's the Podcaster of the Season award, where I wanted Alan to win. I said, vote Alan. Vote Alan, vote Alan, vote Alan. The nominations were all of us on the podcast. And I can reveal that in third place, with 15.4% of the vote, it was Clive. Well done, Clive. And then...
Somebody's throwing something to Clive. The right honourable Clive Parkin is stoned.
And then there was just one vote in it. One vote between me and Alan. Alan, who's won? You need a microphone. Cam, come on. Sort your life out. One
I
job.
think you took it, and I think you deserve to take it for all the stuff that you do on the podcast.
Bullshit.
End of. It's not bullshit.
Cam, who's won it, me or Alan?
Alan. Legend.
Clive, who's won it?
I don't care.
Ooh, touchy. Jim, who's won it? Who's won?
No idea.
I know who's winning. It's a grave error. I know who's voted for this.
Jimmy, it's a grave error. And I can reveal
I'm joking.
with 28.8% of the vote, in second place is me.
Yay!
Actually, no, sorry. It's
Oh,
Alan. I've won it
yeah.
again, kids. I've done it again.
Six.
Thank you.
Was that one vote yours?
No,
Did
I
you log
genuinely
on with a
didn't
day
vote.
left to
No.
go? We're one vote short here. Come
No.
on, love.
I-
Let's
no.
vote.
No, I've
Harry.
genuinely not looked at these at all until about an hour before the podcast when I turned the voting off. So
Is
That's
that
like,
before or after you
when
voted?
Cloughy says, I don't look at the league table. I
Yeah.
don't believe you.
I don't listen. I don't read it until the end. Thank you,
Anybody
Alan.
else
Well done,
smell
you
that?
deserve it. Yeah.
Smell that? No.
Yeah. Also, we leave a little optional comment where you can leave us a comment about the podcast. So I'm just going to read through a few of them. Really appreciate your comments and all of that as well.
Let me guess. Number one comment. Craig's the best.
No, well, no, not quite. Me and my
Who's
two
his dad?
No, he voted for Alan. Me and my two sons look forward to the podcast every week. Keep up the great work. It becomes a regular event in the household every week. Great effort by all, especially Craig with all the production, graphics, etc. Comes across a real team effort and they really get along. I don't think
Do
we
it?
should. And I'm going to say, a good season. Keep up the excellent work. Great to watch. Thanks for keeping us involved at Stags Chat. I've really enjoyed listening live when I can. It's lovely to hear the thoughts and opinions of a few fellow Stag supporters. And please may I have the poster of Quinny. It wasn't a poster of Quinny, it was a mug. And you didn't leave your name. Therefore, we can't give it you. We've already given it away. It's the highlight of the week. I think Ben Swain, the podcast predictions guy, is awesome. I think that's probably been written by Ben, but we need to give him a massive shout out as well because he's done a brilliant job for us this year. Well done, Ben. Also, as well, thank you for all the podcasts all this season. Can't believe we've finally done it. Look forward to listening to your League One podcasts next year. Love watching the podcast. What a fantastic job you all do. Can't wait for next season to start League One. Get ready for the mighty Stags. Few people saying Quinn. MK Dons away was the game of the season. Keep it going, guys, says Martin.
I'm worried about the start of that next one. Podcast predictions has captured my wife.
Yeah, I'm going to say
Quite worried
that
about
one. Podcast predictions had a great season. Has captured my wife as an educated pundit on studying the opposition. From messaging form and messaging me at work to submit her predictions. She only started as she is a Cheshire girl. Crew the first game of the season. She's a Crowton neighbour where she scored a full house double points. #hooked. When she gets a name check, currently in 8th, she revels in it. Name check Mrs. Crump Kerry. She is.
She's a what?
Yeah, please do.
What?
Well done, chaps. A promotion winning podcast. Keep going what you're doing. Never give up the podcast by far. Always the entertaining. Jim, have you written this one?
That's got to be written by Jim. That has.
Jim to win.
Bowery's goal against Salford should have been out on Jim to win. Have you been on this, Jim? Have you been writing? There we go. Keep up the good work. Not much matches. Mansfield Matters. Brilliant podcast. Enjoyed listening. And lots more comments like that as well. Thank you to all of you that voted in the Mansfield Matters end of season awards. Right, it is time for the quiz. So you can put your microphones down now. I have got a few things that you can lean on. You are going to need some paper each. Does anybody need something to lean on? Anybody need? Anything? Anyone needs anything to lean on? Yeah. Pass that round. Pass one round. There you go. There you go. License. There you go. In hardback. Yeah. There you go. Right. So you can have as much paper as you want. Okay. Feel free to play along with this, guys, at home as well, if you wish to do so. Yes, feel free to play along with this at home, guys, if you wish to do so.
What's this?
Are any of the answers David Tennant's?
No, none of the answers.
What's this
David
copy
Tennant's.
of Dummy's Guide to the Kama Sutra? That's a weird book.
Yeah, well, it's yours, isn't it?
Your house.
You brought it. Right, this is the Mansfield Matters 2023-2024 end of season quiz. All of the questions are in relation to the 2023-24 campaign in some way, shape or form. Our podcast panel will go head-to-head to be crowned the most knowledgeable about our historic promotion-winning campaign, taking home the bragging rights. This season, I'm mixing it up by delivering questions round by round, topic by topic, rather than the traditional 12-month, month by month. Each round has got 3 questions, and after 5 rounds, we'll recap the answers and then lose 2 of the lowest scorers, leaving the rest to face one final round.
Where do we have to go?
That's it. You're off the podcast for good. Yeah. Some questions may have bonus points available, so listen very carefully and remember that I am the ultimate judge and jury, and my ruling stands. Okay. Good luck and no conferring. Round 1 is all about pre-season. Question 1. The Stags recorded 2 8-0 victories in friendlies, either open to the public or in behind closed doors practice matches. Who were their opponents for 1 point each? So, the Stags recorded 2 8-0 victories in friendlies, either open to the public or in behind closed doors practice matches. Who were their opponents for 1 point each? Question 2. Some fans were left frustrated after a friendly match with Barnsley was cancelled. But which team stepped in at the last minute as a replacement for 1 point? What was the score in that game for another point? And who were the Stags' goal scorers? 1 point each. So, some Stags fans were left frustrated after a friendly with Barnsley was cancelled. But which team stepped in at the last minute as a replacement for 1 point? What was the score for another point? And who were the Stags' goal scorers for 1 point each? And your final question in the pre-season round is, the traditional friendly with Matlock Town ended with a 4-2 victory, but which former Stags loanee featured at left back? The traditional friendly at Matlock ended with a 4-2 victory, but which former Stags loanee featured at left back? Okay. I think what I'll do is I'm going to recap the answers round by round so we can add them up as we go. We can go along. Okay, yeah. So I can reveal the answers then to round 1 were Retford United and Ardalonians. The Scottish side. Ardalonians, however you say it. There you go. Them. Yeah. Whatever you said, because you've not got microphones in front of you, so no one at home can hear you. Some Stags fans were left frustrated after a friendly with Barnsley was cancelled, but which team stepped in, Nick, at the last minute as a replacement? Use your microphone, please. Microphone, please. Hearts was correct. Alan, what was the score? Microphone, please. You're going to be off. He ditched it.
2-1.
Oh, it wasn't. It was 3-1. And the goal scorers, please, Jim, because you're nearest to a microphone, which is in front of you. Keep them in your hand.
Was it Oates? I can't remember, to be quite honest with you.
It was Oates, DKD and Bowery. So there you go. Hearts 1-3-1, Oates, DKD and Bowery. And finally, the traditional friendly with Matlock ended with a 4-2 victory. But which former Stags loanee featured at left back? The answer was, anybody know? Kieran Freeman was correct. Well done. So add up your points, write it down and put it in a little circle. And we'll move on to round 2, which is called Stat Attack.
More like Art Attack.
Question 1 in round 2. In February, the Stags scored a whopping 20 goals, which is the most in a singular calendar month. I want to know, when was the last time Stags scored 20 in a single calendar month? So that's 1 point for the month and 1 point for the year. And back in February, when we scored those 20 goals, there were 8 goal scorers. Who are they, please, for 1 point each? There you go. You should know these whoppers are going to come. You should know that these questions are going to come your
It's
way.
no wonder Nathan doesn't bother with us anymore.
I
is
know.
it?
I know. Absolutely, I know. But there you go.
He finished higher than both of us in the podcast vote, just to let you know.
Yeah, he did.
Bullshit.
I know.
Nathan definitely
Nathan
voted him for
definitely
himself.
voted, he
He's the
did,
sort of person that would.
Yeah, absolutely he is. So a recap of that question then for you is, in February, the Stags scored a whopping 20 goals, which is the most in a singular calendar month. I want to know, when was the last time Stags scored 20 in a single calendar month? I want 1 point for the month, 1 point for the year. And back in February, when we scored those 20, there were 8 goal scorers. Who were they for 1 point apiece? Right, on to the next question. That's question 2. Only 3 outfield
Hang on a minute. I've got to get 8 goal scorers here.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do it, and whilst I do it, I'm going to put some background music on for the people at home who can then.
It's not by that band that you were talking about before we started, was it?
No, it's not about them. No, we're not playing that now.
They're
Absolutely not playing them. Ah,
no.
If it's not an Alan Wilson ditty, I'm not
it's
bothered.
not an Alan Wilson. It's
It was
not.
cycling tours by Road of Bike.
It's not. It's future pop. I'm going for future pop. Yeah. And I don't know why you're talking. No one can hear what you're saying unless you're speaking to a microphone. Not one person
Welcome
can
back
hear
to
what
the
you're
Mansfield
saying.
Matters podcast, and it's just absolute carnage as ever. And you'll be thankful that we've gone for the summer.
Yes. Well, one more episode to go, really, after this.
That's
The
a
retain
retain
list, but, you know.
It'd be cruel to release the retain list while they're in Vegas, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Imagine that you're on
Yeah.
you're on the slots, and they're gone. Right. I'm going for it. I don't care if I'm going to give you 10 more seconds. Question 2. Only 3 of the outfield players failed to score this season, as the Stags scored exactly 100 goals in the league and cup. But who were those players? 1 point each. 3 outfield players failed to score this season, as the Stags scored exactly 100 goals in the league and cup. Who were those players? 1 point each. And I'll give you a clue for one of them. One of them couldn't score because he spent the entire season injured. So you should at least get 1 point each on this. I'd be very disappointed if you didn't, to be fair. Oh, okay.
God's throwing you one.
Yeah. Technically, it's not here because then you could have Artigan as well. Nick put O'Toole. O'Toole's not an answer because he's out on loan.
He did.
No, I'm not having it. Not having it.
I'm genuinely curious though. I've got a couple.
Well, we'll
I've
see,
got
won't we?
three.
We'll see.
Counting the fellas with
I've
the
got
gloves on.
4.
We'll see. No,
got
outfield
4.
players, yeah.
I've got 4.
Well, maybe you've got 4. We'll debate it.
You're
Can I ask the
counting
third
that
question?
wrong.
No. I'm gonna yeah, exactly that, and I'll tell you where I got these questions from. So if you want to take anything away from this and you want to debate this, debate it with Martin Shaw, because these come from Stagsnet. So
Fine.
I'm going to concur with Cam here. Cam, you are genuinely curious.
right, moving on. Question 3.
Yeah.
Against Grimsby on Boxing Day, the Stags registered 39 attempts at goal. Who registered them? No, that's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Against Grimsby on Boxing Day, the Stags registered 39 efforts at goal. But over the 46 games this league season, how many shots did the Stags register? Only 1 point available. Just a number. Okay. Answers then for round 2. Question 1. In February, the Stags scored a whopping 20 goals, which is the most in a single calendar month. I want to know, when was the last time Stags scored 20 in a single calendar month? The answer was December, and the year was 1994.
I
And,
wasn't even born.
and you can if you want, but you have to say it into the microphone so people at home can hear you.
Can I say I got that?
Well done. Anyone else get that?
No.
No.
Okay. I think Jim said he got the right season. Well, you got a point for the year. What did you write? You give him the microphone. Well, if you wrote 1995, that's wrong.
That's the wrong year.
It's the wrong year.
I mean, it's the right.
Let's have a look at your sheet.
I'll
look at
back
your
through on
sheet.
this. It's the wrong year, but it is the correct season. It'd be 94-95 season.
No, he wrote 1995. No,
Ooh.
no, my ruling stands. No,
Oh, he's
no,
a stickler.
I'd
for
have
No
me.
given-
points.
I'd have given you a point. there.
Nil.
no point.
Nil.
Millport. The 8 goal scorers, by the way. Davis Keeler Dunn,
Yes.
Ollie Clark,
Yes.
Tom Nichols,
No.
Will Swan,
Yeah.
Lucas Akins, Hiram Boateng, Stephen Quinn,
Yeah.
and Bailey Cargill.
Yeah.
Question 2. Only 3 outfield players failed to score this season,
It's got to be 4.
as the Stags scored exactly 100 goals in the Liga Cup. Who were those players? Alan, microphone.
McDonald, Kilgore, Williams.
Correct.
George Cooper
John Joe
has
O'Toole.
played. Has played.
And he's still here. Oh, yeah, no,
Has-
Cooper scored
has-
against Burton.
Yeah, Cooper scored at Burton.
Did he?
Yeah.
O'Toole played in the same.
Listen, to any
Martin.
umbrage you've got with this, take this up with Martin Short. But
Martin, got
I
on
am
for it.
I am saying that John Joe O'Toole, by virtue of the fact of not being at the club and out on loan, does not count.
He's still registered as,
As
a player.
does Anthony Hartigan.
At the time of asking the question, Wimbledon confirmed that O'Toole is not still at their club, so he's therefore the player at the time.
Can
of
I
the
just
question.
say that Craig,
Yes, it has true. They have released their retain list, and they did confirm that it has returned to the parent club.
Craig's decision is
Is
fine.
fine.
Yes.
End of.
And any more arguments from anyone, I will knock 1 point off.
and I got all 3.
Well done, Clive. Right. Where do we get to? Against Grimsby on Boxing Day, the Stags registered 39 attempts at goal, but over the 46 league game season, how many shots did they register? The answer was 805.
806.
Oh,
Oh, you're joking.
yeah. Nice. If you're a bit closer, Nick, with the mic.
I was 600 out.
Well, 600 out.
Important answer.
Oh, dear. Okay. Round 3. Have a little top up of your points. Round 3 is a round called On the Road. Anyone know what these questions are going to be involving?
Buses, vans, cars, lorries.
Away games.
Away games. It's away games. Question 1. The record.
away games, Craig.
It's away games. The record of victory margin of 4 goals was equal twice this season, away from home. But against who? The 2 sides that Mansfield scored 4 goals or more against on the road this season, please. 1 point each.
Can you just clarify that question? Was it winning margin or amount of goals?
Winning margin. So by
Won
4 goals.
4, not just scored
Yeah.
4.
Won by 4 goals or more. So 4 goals. Won by 4 goals. There are 2 teams. One was a 4-0 scoreline, the other was 5-1. Question 2. Initially, the Stags struggled to get a win on the road, drawing their first 3 league away games. Which team did the Stags then beat at the 4th time of asking? It's come up in the podcast today. I can indeed. Initially, the Stags struggled to get a win on the road, drawing their first 3 league away games. Which team did the Stags beat at the 4th attempt? And question 3. There's a couple of parts to this question, so listen very, very carefully indeed. Stockport County were eventually crowned League 2 champions, but back on New Year's Day, the Stags beat them by 2-0, completing the double over them. But from that particular game, can you answer these 3 questions for 1 point each? How many points behind Stockport did Mansfield move with that victory? Both sides suffered injuries in both halves, leading to how many minutes of stoppage time being added in total? And despite limited tickets being given, how many Stags fans made the trip? So Stockport away on New Year's Day. How many points did the Stags move behind them after the victory? Both sides suffered injuries. How many minutes of stoppage time in total? And despite limited tickets being given, how many Stags fans actually made the trip? Okay, time for...
I was one of them.
You were, well done. Time for the answers in round 3 then. The record victory margin of 4 goals was equal twice this season, but against who? The answers were Forest Green Rovers and Bradford City. Initially, the Stags struggled to get a win on the road, drawing their first 3 league games, but which team did the Stags beat at the 4th attempt? Of course, it was Accrington Stanley. And question 3, Stockport County on New Year's Day. How many points did the Stags move behind Stockport with the victory? The answer was 2. Both sides suffered injuries, leading to how many minutes of stoppage time being added in total? The answer was 21. 8 minutes in the first half and 13 in the second. And despite limited tickets, the Stags took 906 fans. Well done. Round number 4 then. This one is home comforts. Any ideas what this one's about?
Is it home games?
It's home games.
Alan, it's your forte. This one.
It's
You're
this.
always there.
You are always there.
If the answer is
Alan,
who does the microphone, the
Have you
voice,
actually
I know.
missed the home league game this season?
No.
Ever present Alan Wilson.
Sorry, if we ever want to get promotion again, Alan, you cannot ever go away again during the season.
True facts.
Okay.
True facts. Right, here we go then. Round 4, Stockport County were the first team to score against the Stags on home soil this season in all competitions, but excluding added time, how many minutes did the Stags remain firm for? So how many minutes did the Stags go without conceding for is the question, until they played Stockport. Well done. Nick's got half a brain. Nick could work that one out. Well done, Nick. Well done, Nick. That's it. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Stay in for another year.
For now.
Question number 2 in round 4. How many home games were postponed this season?
2 men.
And question 3. Tuesday, the 16th of April, saw the Stags promoted in front of their own fans, beating Accrington Stanley 2-1. But for 1 point each, can you name the starting 11 that will forever be in our history? Yeah. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Not interested about subs in that one. Only interested in the starting 11. So I'll recap those questions for you in round 4. Stockport County were the first team to score against the Stags on home soil this season in all competitions, but excluding added time, how many minutes did the Stags remain firm for? How many home games were postponed? And against Accrington, can you name the starting 11 forever ingrained in our history? If you're playing along at home, keep it going. And let us know your scores on social media throughout the week as well. We'd love to hear how you got on in the end of season quiz. Right, it's time for the answers then in round 4. How many minutes, did the Stags remain firm for? The answer was 186. How many games?
You're listing phone numbers.
You are. How many home games were postponed this season? The answer was 5. And the starting 11. Alan Wilson, I'm going to come over to you.
I've got Pim,
Correct.
Aiken,
Correct.
Flint,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Macker,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Maris,
Yes.
Botek,
Yes.
DKD,
Yes.
Mick Nichols,
Yes.
Clark.
No.
Oh,
Who's
10 out of
Mick
11.
Nichols?
Nichols. New signing.
Who signed Mick Nichols? Was it Quinny the missing one?
Quinn was the missing one. Well done, Nick. It was Pim, Aikens, Flint, Barry, McLaughlin, Reed, Boateng, Quinn, Maris, DKD, and, of course, Nichols. McNichols. McNichols. That's it. Okay, round 5. Yeah, this is the last round before we tot up the points.
Is it worth double points?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not a Craig quiz then.
Can we
is
get
it?
on with it, please?
Round 5. It's cup action. Christy Pym earned heroic status in penalty shootouts against Sheffield Wednesday and Peterborough. But can you name every successful penalty taker across both shootouts? 1 point each.
How many is?
I'm not telling you.
If I list every player down, then I'm guaranteed to get it, aren't I?
In theory, yes. Well, that
Yeah.
also would take a lot of time, and you're
Doesn't
still
matter.
talking to me.
And I would
I've already
deduct
got 11 written down before. so it
and
doesn't
I
matter.
will deduct points for being pedantic. And Mick Nichols weren't one of them. You're right. Okay. Question 2.
But yeah, you've got to use more time than that.
What, for 6 players? Use the microphone, Clive, please. Like, it's not even switched on, that. I feel like I want to deduct Clive for deduct points from Clive, but I won't. Question 2. DKD may well have run away with the golden boot in all competitions, but in the cups only, who was the top scorer? So that's EFL Trophy, Carabao Cup, and FA Cup. can tell you it's not Davies Keeler Dunn. So DKD ran away with the Golden Boot in all competitions, but in the Cups only, who took home the Golden Boots? That's the EFL Trophy, Carabao Cup and FA Cup. And the final question. Three parts to this. Defeat to Port Vale in the Carabao Cup was only the second time in the club's history they'd reached that stage of the competition. In which year did they do it previously for 1 point? Who did they play in that round and beat for another point? And who did they then go on to face in the quarterfinals where they were eventually knocked out for another point? So defeat to Port Vale in the Carabao Cup was only the second time in the club's history that they'd reached that stage of the competition. But in which year did they do it previously? Who did they play and beat? And who did they then face in the quarterfinals where they were then knocked out? Okay, time for the answers. Christy Pym earned heroic status in the penalty shootouts, but can you name every successful penalty taker across both shootouts? Now, Alan, you asked, you thought this question was going to come up at Christmas, didn't you, in the Christmas quiz?
Yeah, and I did it at Christmas and I got them all right, but I've been to bed since then.
Well, let's find out.
Flint,
Yes.
Oates,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Maris.
Yes.
I haven't got the other two.
There's only one more.
Oh, Quinn.
No.
That's it.
The answer was Akins. Bowery, Maris, DKD, Oates, Flint and Akins. DKD may have well have run away with the Golden Boot in all competitions, but who in the Cups only got the Golden Boot? Cam, do you know the answer?
No idea. I put Maris.
It
No
wasn't
idea.
Nick.
Went for Oates.
It was Oates with 3. Well done. And finally, defeat to Port Vale in the Carabao Cup was only the second time in the club's history they'd reached that stage of the competition. In which year did they do it previously? Alan Wilson, do you know? No, Clive, do you know?
1844.
No, it was 1975, a bit after that. The team they played,
Leicester City?
wrong, was Wolves.
No idea.
And the team they were then knocked out at was Manchester City. So the answer is 1975, Wolves and Manchester City. Tot up your points, please.
Can I just ask, you know, when they lost to Manchester, did they lose 4-2 at Main
No
Road?
idea. There's a main
I
road,
say
but
if
no
they
idea
did,
of
I
the
were
score.
there.
No idea of the score. Add up your scores, please, and we're going to find out which 3 players are going through to the final potluck round. If you're still watching, good on you.
Get alive.
Clive does not mean that, and that's why he did not win Podcaster of the Season. Ready? Okay. Alan, please let me know your score.
A very big, generous 27.
Cam?
You know, for the first time in a very, 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 very long time, I've not won a Mansfield Matters quiz. 26.
Well, you might have 27-26, Clive.
38.
Oh. So at the moment, the score to beat at the moment. 38. Need 28, surely.
Jim.
Give him your mic, Nick. Hold on.
31.
31. So we've got 31, 20, and 26. So at the moment it's you 3. So it's 26 to beat at the moment. Nick, can you beat 26?
Oh, I'd say Cam, 28.
Right, Cam is out. Right. So
You've been writing the answers after he said them, though.
So Jim, what did you get?
31.
31. Yeah, so Alan and Cam are both out. So it's now between. Well done. It's now between. Yeah. Look. Right. There are 5 questions in this last round. It's potluck. And, by the way, your scores are now back to 0.
Can I phone a friend? Can I
No.
phone now?
No. Question 1. Yes. Ask him, Cam, if you want
Yeah,
to.
go on then. Out with a little one.
Will Swan earned the crown of Impact Player netting 4 times after coming on as a sub. The same player managed 6 last season, which makes him the highest scoring sub in the EFL and the club's joint highest scoring substitute. Who is the other player?
Who come up with these questions? These are not you questions. That is a
These
really
are
good
me
point.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Gee.
Now, I use research. I took time to make this quiz together, you know.
Very impressed.
As you should be. Question 2. The 24 wins were the club's highest amount of wins in the EFL since they won 28 games in which season?
Could you repeat the question?
The 24 wins were the club's highest amount of wins in the EFL since they won 28 games in which season? Question 3. Nigel Clough won Manager of the Season. Who was the last Stags boss to achieve that feat for 1 point? And for another point, what was the season? Nigel Clough won Manager of the Season in the EFL. Who was the last Stags boss to achieve that feat? And in which season? Alan thinks he knows. And
Did you say Graham Cochran?
And the fourth and final question I lied. There's only 4 questions in this round. Thanks to Jordan Bowery not donning the gloves at Barrow, Christy Pym became an ever-present. Who was the last Stags keeper to play in every EFL game of the season?
Just league.
I think he actually played in every game that season. Can't remember his number 2 playing. His number 2 in the second part of the season definitely didn't play. Oh, actually, I think his number 2 might have played.
We went through like 5.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks to Jordan Bowery not donning the gloves at Barrow, Christy Pym became an ever-present, but who was the last Stags keeper to play in every EFL game? Let's go through the answers then. Will Swan earned the crown of Impact Player. The player who he matched with is Jake Spate.
No one's got that. If you've got that, Clark,
I've got no.
don't ever say that, Clark.
Oh, so sweet at the end. 24 wins in with the club's highest amount of wins in the EFL. In which season? It was 1976-77.
Oh, yeah, right.
Nigel Clough won Manager of the Season. Who was the last Stags boss to achieve that feat for 1 point? Alan, you said it.
I think.
Dave Smith. And the year, Clive?
74.
74-75.
Yeah.
Well done, Alan.
And thanks to Jordan Bowery not donning the gloves at Barrow, Christy Pym became an ever-present, but who was the last Stags keeper to play in every EFL game? The answer is Nathan Bishop. Top of your points. There were 5 points available in that round. So let's see what we got.
I got 0, so we can end this quiz here. Got 0.
Jim? Into my phone, please.
1.
So 0, 1, and 2.
2.
And by virtue of that,
That's like winning on goal difference, isn't it?
the winner of the Mansfield Matters Podcast quiz for 23-24 is Clive Parkin. Well done, Clive.
Do you lose 2 points
Well
for
done.
average all Orlando? Does that diminish 2 points?
Yes. That is a very good point. That is a very good point. Does Clive?
Can I just-
I feel like I've got an unfair disadvantage because I'm like half the age of some people here.
Well, one day your balls will drop.
There are no disadvantages in this game.
Jim's not that old.
There are no disadvantages in this game at all. Right, there's only one thing left to do. In fact, that was the reason I stood up. We've got to play the jingle for one final time this season. Surely we have. It's time to find out
thought it was
who is the
temporary.
winner of... So will they win, lose or draw? And what will be the score? It's the guessing game that brings you 0 fame, but to be the best you must outguess the rest. So will they win, lose or draw? And what will be the score? In the League or Cup, you just make it up, because they're just works of fictions, it's podcast predictions. Will they win, lose or draw? Welcome back to the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters, and it's time now
Somehow.
to reveal the winner. Huh? Oh, we'll come back to them. Don't worry, I've not forgot. Don't worry. No. There's no winners. There's no winners on that. Talking about winners.
Raffle.
Talking about winners. It is time to talk all about podcast predictions and
Not
the
me.
final league table of the season. So, I can tell you this. 88 players and the pre-gamble points tally of 3,655. But on the final day, the gamble lost 1,307.5 points and completely changed the table. So, let's have a little look then at who were the winners, shall we? Let's first and foremost look at the no gamble table. So if we'd have not done a gamble on the final day of the season, this would have been your top 10. David with 105. Mrs. Crump and Stag's Chat on 108. Chris Ellison on 110. Kiwi Stag on 111. Ben Swain, our podcast predictions guru, on 118. Alan Wilson also on 118. And then the top three would have been Nick Felton on 132, Steve Naden on 139, and Fathead on 149. Hold on, Fathead. But he's not won it yet.
Whatever you may be, Fathead. Well done.
Fathead, whoever they are, have not won it yet. In the podcast predictions league, had the gamble not taken place, Nathan would have finished bottom on 13 points. Then it would have been Jim on 49. Then Cam on 54. Then me on 87. Then Clive on 92. Nick on 95. And Alan with 118. But we didn't, did we? We decided to go for a gamble. And I can tell you
I
now
lost everything.
that in terms of the overall winner of the podcast predictions league, there are a fair few people that decided not to gamble at the very, very end. And the top 10, Ashley Mutter, 91, Stag's Chat and Mrs. Crump on 108, Chris Ellison on 110, Kiwi Stag on 111, Alan Wilson 118, Ben Swain 118, Nick Felton 132, Steve Naden on 139, and Fathead on 149. So he is the overall winner. But that's before the gamble. I read the wrong thing. The top three.
Could be a treble for Fathead here.
Nick Felton on 15. Somehow, Keeley from her game 2, 15 points. And despite gambling, Fathead still wins on 48. Well, Fathead, well done. Now,
He's done the treble.
here in the Mansfield Matters League, boy, did we gamble. Nick, you finished bottom on minus 89.
The gamble word taken.
Then it was me on minus 87. Then it was Clive on minus 86. Cam then in fourth on minus 54.
Come on.
Somehow, Nathan managed to finish third.
He'd better off not entering it.
Yeah, he didn't enter.
Alan gets nothing. And then Jim wins the lot with 6 points. Jim's the winner. Well done to Jim.
You know
Brilliant
Fathead, but
stuff.
you did well.
You did. Well,
What
that is
the
it.
What was that?
Well, there you
Can
go.
I just say, well, for the start of next season, we'll have the door widened so Fathead can come on as a guest.
Clive's been
Yeah.
reading for that.
I do want to know who the
Fathead, who are you? This is a Mansfield Matters podcast, and Mansfield Town. Fathead, who are you?
Yeah, all the things this season, that's the only one thing I want to find out. Who is
It's the Mansfield.
Fathead?
It's the Mansfield.
Right.
It's the Mansfield
Winner that
Matters
is.
mass singer.
Right.
Can I just say, Craig, that the false 9 creates uncertainty and breeds anxiety. He is ostensibly a striker, but he occupies an area far deeper than a traditional forward.
Clive is learning something from the Football Manager book, which he used to
I'd
lead on the
love-
quiz.
I think we should do a Mansfield Matters football manager. I think that'd be well,
Christ,
well
no.
funny.
Christ now. Right, that is almost all we've got time for. My thanks all season long. Nathan Edge hasn't been with us this afternoon, but he's very much part of the team. He'll be back with us hopefully next season in League One. My thanks to Alan Wilson, to Cam Felton, to Clive Parkin, to Jim Evans, and to Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame. Before we let you go, one final comment from you all. Nick, first and foremost, season to remember. You've got an event coming up next week. Remind us all about it. What's coming up? Is it going to be a little bit different to what we saw last time?
It probably will, because I can't remember what shirts I brought the first time, so it'll be slightly different. But Kirsty at the museum did say we can cram about 50 odd in, so we're going to get more. So if you are interested, just email Kirsty at the museum. Her email address is available if you want it off me. But yes, it'll be more of the same, and hopefully end off an amazing season. And
your final thoughts on the 2023-2024 campaign?
The best season in memory, really, when you look back. And running on that pitch again at the end of the game after all those years brought back memories of doing that when I was 11 in the Liam Lawrence days. So yeah, an unbelievable season, and we all look forward to the next one.
Jim, same parting comment from you. What's your overriding last comment on the 2023-24 campaign?
We got the job done, but we've got to make it count now. Consolidate, build, and onwards and upwards.
Clive?
I'm just looking forward to some new teams and some new away days. I'm eager to have my Huddersfield.
Cam?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some big away days. I can quite literally walk to one of them, so I'm looking forward to that and seeing the fat one who shall not be named.
Fathead.
Do you think that's who Fathead is? I think Steve-O's gone, all right, I'll play podcast predictions. Me and CJ will play.
You can't have two fat people.
I can't remember the last time he did that impression.
Can I just say, it wouldn't be Fathead, it'd be Fat Fuck.
Always lowering the tone. Just before we finish, you had to lower the tone. Yes, God. Alan. God's sake.
Stand it.
Alan, come on.
Yeah.
Say something foul. Not what you said before we started.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not that.
Thank you to Craig for an excellent season again, doing all the stuff that he does behind Mansfield Matters. And I just need to certainly brush up on my quizzing. Thank you.
You certainly don't. There'll be more quizzing. There'll be more podcast predictions. There'll be more of this mentalness, which we call a podcast, next season in League One. But
we're not done there.
No, we're not. Well done, because we have
the retain list. Da, da, da.
Yes.
As and when. Oh yeah, and we've still got this shite. I don't know what this
actually is. Well, there's absolutely no need for that. I can't tell you the answer because, I can. I'll just do it on my phone because I've closed it on my laptop. But there we go. So let's do the maths, shall we? Let's see what numbers you had written down. So the question was 21 seasons based on 46 games, 90 minutes apiece. That gets you to 4,140. 21 seasons worth gets you 86,940. Alan's frustrated. How close were you, Al?
88,000.
Yeah, he did.
Cam, what did you get?
I put 150,000.
Oh,
I got completely off.
Clive went 108. Jim went.
Let's not say what happened.
Right, let's not. So Alan
wins.
And on that bombshell,
Alan gets a victory. My thanks to all of these guys for taking part over the course of this season, to Nathan Edge as well, and most importantly to you guys as well. We don't care about stats. We've never really been bothered about that, but we do have a little look occasionally, and this year it's just gone up and up and up, and it genuinely fills all of our hearts when you guys come up to us on a match day and say we've enjoyed listening to the podcast, or when's the next podcast, or whatever that is. So we do it because you're listening. We do it because you're watching. So please keep doing that in League One. We're not done yet because we'll have one more podcast. As soon as the retain list is out, we'll be virtual again for one final thing as we look back on the retain list and look ahead to next season. And then, sort of June time, we'll be back. You ready for this? I've been waiting 7 fucking seasons to say this.
Come on.
In League One! Come on! See you next time.
That is just absolutely